All right, everybody, this is the Fighter and the Kid. The Fighter and the Kid with Brendan Big Brown Schaub and Brian the Kid Callen, obviously. You can probably tell by the soda and brandy in my voice.
And it's going to sound like we have a replacement for Big Brown.
You in a tunnel right now?
It's not Oscar the Grouch. I lost my voice yelling in the octagon.
Dude.
I couldn't yell any louder.
But where were you yelling? You were yelling at your friends?
Just to the world, I guess, when you're in the octagon.
You mean after you beat Matt Mitrione
after
in 4 minutes?
him, I was yelling. Just so happy. Happiest I've ever been.
Let me tell you something. And Joe Rogan is
You were sitting front row.
Joe Rogan's going to call in. He can verify this. When you had Matt on the ground, I was shouting at you because you were right in front of me. I was cage side. I was like, "This is your house." Joe literally turned around. He was like, "Dude!" In the middle of his broadcast, he was like, "Dude!"
Turned around and looked at you.
Yeah,
right?
because I was so out of my mind. I just was like, and of course I love Matt. And all due respect, he did it. You know, Matt's a tough guy, but you fought a beautiful fight there.
Yeah, you were yelling. It was almost too intense. It almost threw me off.
I have a very powerful voice.
It's all I could hear.
I have a very powerful voice.
You were that guy in the crowd who has his blue belt in jiu-jitsu yelling, "Rip his head off! Rip his head off!"
Well,
with a tap out shirt.
Well, by the way, we have to talk about that because I hear you've been getting some advice about your fight and the things you did maybe wrong by people who haven't. I think that the fighters deal with this. So maybe tell us a couple stories about.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, for whatever reason, you know, in the NFL, MLB, NBA, no one's going up to Peyton Manning or LeBron James going, "Bro, great game last night. LeBron, next time you dunk it, you're jumping off your 1 foot, kind of weird." What I would do, no one's telling them these
Peyton,
professional athletes.
Your release needs to be a little. You know, I've done it. I've criticized.
I don't take it personal. I don't take it personal. Does it drive me nuts? Yeah. Did you just get off your 6-hour shift at Starbucks now, and you just watched me on pay-per-view on Saturday night? Now you're giving me tips.
Didn't you get some advice recently?
Advice? Did I get advice? Yeah, to say the least bit. I had some guy come up to me with his 3 kids when I'm getting coffee and goes, "Brendan, right?" Okay, he goes, "Bro, me and my family are huge fans. The only reason we bought the pay-per-view was to see your fight." I go, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that." He goes, "You mind if my wife gets a picture?" "Sure, not a problem." He goes, "Thanks,
Going
man."
smoothly so
Going
far.
smooth. I'm like, "This is amazing. This is why I fight. This is fantastic." Then he goes, I got to ask you. I got to bring this up. Now, in your fight, you did great, but I just feel like there's some stuff you could have done better. I feel like you're leading with your head. I mean, if you fight guys like Chuck Liddell, light heavyweight, retired, so that's irrelevant.
That's good.
And when you fight Chuck Liddell, I just feel like you take advantage of it. It literally,
in other words,
fucked up my entire day.
In other words, he was saying,
"What's wrong with you?"
Basically, he was saying, at the end of the day, when you get to the higher ups, they're going to take advantage of that. Those guys, right? Is that what he said? He said, "Just be careful."
No, he's giving me advice on like throwing my jab and my left hook.
And you asked him how many fights he'd had?
Oh yeah. So I won't be mean about it, right? You know me, I'm as nice as they come. I go, "Oh, cool, man, cool. So you got a fight background? You have some fights?" No.
I just watch it.
I work out. I'm not making it. I work out the 24-hour fitness up the street though, and I've been fitness all my life. Not to mention, he's crazy out of shape.
Beautiful. That's the kind of guy I want on the podcast.
And it starts with that. I mean, that's just the beginning. I mean, after the press conference, got out at 4 a.m. I'm at a all-you-can-eat diner. The waiter comes up to me. I'm not. Ask Lex. Ask Lex McMahon, my manager. The waiter comes up to me. I ordered a milkshake. I haven't had dessert in 7 months. Order a milkshake. He drops the milkshake off and goes, "Yeah, man, loved your fight. I wrestled in high school. That's cool. on your double leg, you're touching your knee.
No.
You should run through the guy."
No. He gave you advice on a double leg.
So the guy working at the diner at 4 a.m. gave me advice on a double leg. I have the 3rd highest success rate of double legs in the heavyweight division in UFC history. This guy working at the all-you-can-eat 24-hour diner just gave me some advice.
Fantastic.
Did I give him a fat tip?
Yep.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
You got to give love. People want to feel significant, and if they can, they just want
to relate to you.
Listen,
man. I get it.
I taught in my mind. I gave Nate Marquardt, Thiago Alves, and yourself advice on how to do a proper back kick because I believe you guys could use it. I believe you guys could use it as a defensive measure in the UFC. And listen to me, and I'm just as guilty. All men want to feel like they can contribute at least something to a pro fighter's game.
You know what? You want to
ridiculous.
contribute? Bring me a stevia when I'm at Starbucks. So all they have is sweet and low. Bring me a stevia.
Sir.
You want to do me a favor? You want to enhance my life? Save your advice. Bring me a stevia.
Here's the question. And we're going to move on because we're going to talk about probably the greatest fight in UFC history in some ways.
I mean, I thought my fight was good. I wouldn't say the greatest.
Oh, wait, we're not talking about you, sir.
Oh, my bad.
But we are going to talk about you. We're going to cap this off because I heard personally, I was at the press conference, and when Dana White, I got shushed, by the way, because Dana White said,
you were out of control.
I was a little out of control.
A little too excited.
My boyfriend won.
Act like you've been there before.
I'm with your.
Act like you've been there
I
before.
can't do it. I'm with your. I'm waiting for Joe. I'm with
family,
your dad.
right?
I'm with your brother. I'm with his girl. And when Dana White said, "Well, he had an easy night. I think we're gonna throw him back in there pretty soon." And he goes, "We're gonna get him in somebody interesting."
You started dancing.
I started dancing. I started going, "Ooh, I'm getting some sexual feelings right now. I'm getting some sexual feelings."
This is around
and
my
then
dad.
I had your
This
your
is
dad.
around my
Yeah, I know
dad.
your dad's hooting it and laughing. Your brother's laughing. Everybody starts laughing around me. Tony and those guys. And all of a sudden, the guy comes up and goes, "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to keep it down. You can't do a jig and start talking about sexual feelings in the
a
middle
press conference.
of Dana White's
Not good.
press conference."
This is the thing about the fight, and this is what most people don't know. This is why people are like, "God, why are you so happy?" As Matt Mitrione. Granted, I realize it's not freaking Fedor.
Matt Mitrione is the real deal.
Yes.
Matt Mitrione is a very good boxer, a very good athlete, and a threat to anybody.
100%. You can beat anyone division on any given night. Whatever.
Yeah.
This is why I was so happy and why I was so stressed out. You don't even know this, I think, my friend, because I didn't see you. You were like, "Oh, you shut down a week before the fight."
I actually do know, I think.
You do know.
Yeah, but go on.
So the last week of training camp, I get deathly ill. The camp couldn't have been going any better. I go to the doctor. My resting heart rate was 37. That ties Lance Armstrong. It beats Michael Phelps. I'm in the best shape of my life going into my last week of camp. I get so sick, I don't know what to do.
Dude, you had the minute you were in my car and you went, I went, "You all right?" And you go, "I got a little head cold, no big deal." I could see the denial starting. The denial was starting, and I was like, "Oh no!"
I thought it was the West Nile, bro. No big deal. So 3 days go by, no training, can't train, sick to my stomach, lightheaded, lost 17 pounds.
Oh my God.
I don't even tell Lex. I don't tell my managers. I check into the hospital.
Oh no.
Check in the hospital. I get IVs. They do all these tests, whatever. They can't figure it out. They thought maybe it was mono. I don't tell anyone. The UFC, they put like these IVs in me with like electrolytes, fluids, all that stuff. So I had to ask the UFC, "Hey, is it okay if I take this stuff?" They go, "Sure. Are you all right?" "Oh yeah, I'm just dehydrated. Just want to take this stuff." Didn't even tell them.
Yeah.
I get out from all IV, the doctors, the hospitals, and I'm like, I'm stressed. I'm like, I have to train, man. My trainer goes, "I don't think it's a good idea you train." I said, "I have to, man. Mentally, I have to train right now." Friday night, I go into the gym at 9 o'clock at night to train. I'm moving around. There's a crease in the mat, a little hole. I've sparred probably 1,000 rounds in that ring.
Yep.
For whatever reason, Friday night, I rolled my ankle, the worst I've ever rolled it while being sick.
There you go.
I did zero training up until the fight. Zero. I couldn't do anything.
It's a nightmare.
A nightmare?
It's a nightmare.
A nightmare?
And by the way, Matt.
Oh, and by the way, when I rolled my ankle, I left. I was crying straight up. I started crying. The whole gym shut down. I walked into my car with my boxing gloves on and drove off in tears, went home, and laid on my bed with all my gear on
Ladies
crying.
and gentlemen, and you thought you wanted to be a fighter. That's the hidden stresses that people don't realize about being a pro athlete.
So you want to give me advice next time you see me at Starbucks? Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
Give me a stevia.
Actually, I love advice. If you run into Brendan, he's not going to be mean to you. So just give him
I
advice
love
so
it.
he can talk about it.
I love it.
We need stories.
And this is the other thing.
By the way, Matt
I've
outweighed you by about 30 pounds in that fight.
Yeah, I'm always the small heavyweight.
Yeah.
Skills, man. Skills beats brawn any day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a bit. That's the origin of jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
It's about being graceful and technique.
You're big enough. You picked him up like a rag doll. I mean, that double leg was.
You said he's big. He's not stronger. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone stronger.
Right.
I know it sounds a little cocky.
Well, you're benching.
My daycare was the weight room in 3rd grade. Okay?
You're benching 225 27 times. That's better than most NFL athletes.
I could definitely compete in the combine right now.
Yeah, you could. Now I do. Now you're not getting that double leg on me. It doesn't matter. But I'm sprawling and I'm driving a crossface into your.
Because you're built for dance. You got that footwork.
I am. I'm flexible. I'm like a gazelle. I jump. I push on your head, and you just see my legs flail over me. I look like a scorpion.
Yeah, you got that tight ass.
I literally, instead of sprawling, I literally do a flip over your back.
I know. It's ridiculous.
That's kung fu, though. That's kung fu.
So then last night, everyone knows me. I never go out. I never do anything. I don't do anything. My friends are like, we're taking you out. Yeah. This is one of the benefits of living in LA. It's a Tuesday night, and this club is packed.
Banging.
Packed.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. I have one drink and Big Brown is chocolate wasted. I have one freaking drink. I'm chocolate wasted. So chocolate wasted we're at an after party where Justin Timberlake's at. I go up to him, challenge him to a dance off.
Did he know who you were?
He thought about it. That happened.
Yes.
Very awkward when he declined, and I had nothing. I had nothing. Nothing. Super embarrassing.
You're just sitting there dancing in front of him, and he's like, no, thanks.
No, he's like, change the subject. And I was like, crowded bar, huh? I'll see you later, JT. Called him JT. I was so embarrassed, man.
Way to go.
Super embarrassed.
I'm sure he's a huge fan of this podcast. Justin, I apologize for Brendan.
We'll have you on next week. We can have our dance off.
Anyway, we're going to have Joe Rogan call in about 5 minutes here.
Yeah, because technically I can't do it. Can you bust his balls for hanging on Matt Mitrione's nuts for 4 minutes of the entire... All he did is talk about Matt. Hey, Joe, there's 2 of us in there, my man. Let's cover both of us. Not only is there 2 of us, but one has way more skills than the other, and all you did is talk about the other guy. It was crazy to me.
We'll talk about it.
This is your boy.
I can't. Joe and I spent some good time. We had a great time. Me, him, and Tom Segura, who's hilarious in Toronto, and we played.
Your guys' show was great, man.
Yeah, man. Sony. We had the Sony Theater, 3,000 people, and
packed.
Then we did. And then we did.
I was disappointed though. You didn't get to do like a lot of your set, huh?
Yeah, but that's because it's Joe's show.
You want me to text you, or what are you doing right now?
No, because I'm just checking on Joe's number here because we're gonna call him. We're gonna call in.
Must be a good friend if you gotta look for his number.
No, well, we're calling his office line. Thank you.
Office line?
Yeah, that's how he rolls.
That's
crazy. By the way, everybody, just so you know, I'll be at I'm just gonna do a little thing. Donnie B's the Funny Bone at Donnie B's actually in Springfield, October 4th and 5th. I'll be at the Houston Improv, October 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. Only come if you love to laugh. And I'm
so bored right now.
Buffalo, the 17th, 18th,
so
19th.
bored.
Sorry. All right, that's enough of that.
Wow.
Oh, we're calling Joe Rogan.
Good.
Here it goes.
Oh, Lord, thank God. You and Joe have been friends forever. Weren't you like his first
almost
friend?
20 years. Joe Rogan, my brother.
Hey, what's up, boys?
What's up, man?
Thanks for joining. We're glad to have you, a man of your stature here at on the.
I'm glad to be on.
Good. How about those fights? Would you say that the John Jones, Gustafsson fight were arguably in some ways? I heard you say it might be the greatest fight in UFC history.
Yeah, I think it's the greatest fight ever because it was first of all, so much at stake. Second of all, John Jones, the consensus #1 pound-for-pound fighter on earth, pushed to the limit.
Yeah.
And, it was just an incredible back-and-forth fight. And Gustafsson shocked the world, man. I mean, Gustafsson really took it to him. It was an incredibly close fight. I think it was the greatest fight ever.
The only person I heard call that was Brennan, who trained with both of them, and Brennan said it was going to be a war. And I think on the last podcast, I was like, I don't see it because I don't see Gustafsson's wrestling matching up to John Jones. But man,
I'm telling you, and John's a great wrestler, but the only way to take Gustafsson down is by chain wrestling. You're not just a one shot's not going. You have to set it up. He's so talented, and I told you this last podcast. These guys, this can be a trilogy. These are both young. They're both the very best in the world. This is our trilogy. The old boxing trilogies and all those rematches. That's what we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, Gustafsson made giant leaps from the time where he first fought Phil Davis to when he started training at Alliance. He was a good fighter before he fought Davis, but he was lacking in a lot of shit. a lot of the. Hey, are we allowed to swear on this?
No,
how's this one work?
Come on, it's a podcast. Why not? You can swear.
Yeah, but you're
Joe
on
Rogan.
Fox Sports. You need to know how it all goes down.
No, you can
I don't want
cuss.
to get anybody in trouble.
We're getting a thumbs up from our man here
Okay.
at Fox. So,
Well, he was lacking in some shit. He had to learn. When you're training in Sweden, you're not getting the same kind of training that you're going to get at Alliance in San Diego.
For sure.
When you're trying to compete against the best fighters in the world, you got to train with the best fighters in the world. There's no way around that. So once he moved to America, he's been undefeated, and he's been undefeated fighting against really tough guys, Shogun, Thiago Silva. Essentially shut those guys down.
it's amazing. And John Jones was talking about, in very confident tones, talking about going to heavyweight, and I would imagine he's probably not going to be talking about going to heavyweight now that he's fought a guy as long as he is, and realizing that he may not have the power. What made him so effective at 205 was the fact that people couldn't solve that distance, and also I think they can solve the distance in the heavyweight division, and more importantly, they hit harder than the heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I think John, it's tough to just say what made him successful was only his length. He's an incredibly talented fighter in a lot of different ways. First of all, his wrestling is really good, and I think that in this fight, training for this fight, he ignored that. I think he said he ignored it. He said he concentrated on his boxing, and he might have made a mistake for that.
100%.
That's interesting, Brennan. As a fighter, when you take off in a fighter camp, you don't work on one thing as much, even though you have skills and you're a high-level wrestler.
It's still tough. Once you know you have an advantage, and when you have a big advantage over someone, you tend to neglect it in the camp, and you do what that guy's good at. Like for instance, when I fought Nogueira, he's tremendous in jiu-jitsu. I did almost all jiu-jitsu, which is stupid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Someone should tell me, bro.
Someone should sit this kid down.
Someone should sit this kid down and say, yo, why don't we work on other things? You know what I'm saying?
Brennan,
that's a constant theme with Brennan Schaub. Why didn't somebody tell me?
well, isn't it true, Joe? We were talking about this. Being a fighter, you kind of got to measure. You've got to be very confident, and you almost have to, I would imagine, be borderline arrogant if you get into the ring like that and you're fighting for your life. I mean, it's kind of, but at the same time, you've got to be humble enough to know that you've constantly got to be working on all your skills.
Arrogant. I don't fought Nogueira in Brazil without a striking coach because I was so arrogant.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. That there's a fine line, and somewhere along the line, like that need to be arrogant is gonna get you in trouble too. It's like there's a balance to it. You have to also be incredibly humble. You have to also, a lot of guys paint themselves in the corners because they talk too much trash. And then when you do that, you put an incredible amount of pressure on yourself. So that the arrogance that allows you to be a fighter in the first place, you can go overboard with it, and it can wind up being a real problem once you actually get into the cage.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. That's
Speaking the truth, just dropping knowledge. Thank you for educating Brian, Joe. This is nice.
Joe Rogan always educates me. We had a blast in Toronto. How about those crowds, my friend? Joe Rogan.
We had a good time. Toronto was amazing.
It was good. You guys were really good. I was in the crowd. Good crowd. Different crowd. Joe Rogan crowd's a little different than what I'm used to.
Yeah, well, he's got a really interesting eclectic group. It's like testosterone, really muscular guys, stoners, and then just like the fringe. It's a really really interesting eclectic group.
And then there's like a lot of smoke in the room. I was like, God, I hope I don't get tested for marijuana on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm the bridge between the meatheads and the potheads.
That's interesting.
You are.
It's interesting.
He's the male Oprah. As far as
you know what you did, Joe, by going to your show? You stressed me the fuck out because you started talking about the sun is a star and it could explode at any second and we will all die. It's all me and my coaches talked about leading up to the fight.
He'll get into your head, baby.
They would bring up someone like, yeah, does it matter? The sun could shut down at any time, man. We all die. You heard Rogan. Starts a wormhole, we all die.
With people that say that they're, I don't like being paranoid, I'm like, you should be paranoid. Because if you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention. Like, this is all going to end. It's not just going to end for you. It's going to end for the planet. It's going to end for the solar system. Everything is finite. Nothing lasts forever. Enjoy the moment, period.
Super depressing. No, you didn't. No, hold up, Joe. You didn't say enjoy the moment in your show. You ended it with, this is all going to end. We're all going to die. Have a good night, everybody.
Well, listen, you were in a very particular and peculiar state of mind at that show. You got to realize you were 24 hours away from a big fight.
I was sober. I was sober. Everyone else
You were
was
sober?
I was sober.
He was actually in the hospital. He was so sick. No, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't train a lick a week before that. He got so sick. Kind of crazy.
Really? What was wrong?
I just got super sick, man, like a flu. Just my whole body lost 17 pounds. It was not good.
Wow.
Then I decided to check myself in, got some help, and then when I got out, I tried training and blew my ankle out on Friday before the fight. So that was fun.
That's a good time.
Yeah, it was
The
amazing.
Friday before the fight?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Like the day before the fight or the week before the
The
fight?
week before the fight, the Friday.
God.
Yeah.
The stress of being, those little stresses of being a fighter, that kind of all add up.
Oh, it's fun. Oh, it is fun when they throw those curveballs at you during fight week. Oh, it's amazing.
It was an amazing victory, though, dude. That Darce choke was beautiful, and as soon as you took him down, it was like seconds later that you transitioned to it.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Well, you said,
that,
Joe-
that Metamoris helped me out so much. Like, I take a lot of flack from Metamoris because I shut Cyborg down and didn't play his game and whatever. People wanted to see me get submitted. But you got to realize the only reason I did that was to get better in my career in the UFC, is to get better on the ground. I did a straight 7-week jiu-jitsu camp to get ready for Metamoris. 7 weeks of jiu-jitsu 3 times a day. So think how much better you're going to get.
Yeah, and, well, you know, the other thing is the people that are criticizing you, you're not making much money for that Metamoris thing, and if you let the guy, you know, you start getting wild and loose with that guy and he gets a hold of a leg, you could have surgery.
Yeah, 100%. And then Dana will not be happy. I could get fired if that happened. Would not be fun.
Well,
What, he gave you permission to take that fight?
Yeah, he did. I don't think he realized the magnitude of it. I came up to him. I said, "Hey, Dana, they asked me to do this grappling match. You cool with it?" He goes, "Yeah, don't get hurt and submit the guy." I said, "That's it?" He goes, "Yeah, have fun."
Wow.
All right. And then I think once he saw, like, the promo stuff and, it kind of blowing up and he got a lot of flack, I don't think they'll ever let me do it again. I would do it again, though.
There's too many Brazilian cyborgs.
I agree. There's so many. People are like,
They need to come up with a new nickname.
100%. There's so many. There's so many. There's a lot of Silvas, too. A lot of Silvas.
Yeah, exactly. You said, Joe, you were talking about Brendan being actually a huge threat on the ground. I mean, a huge submission threat.
Yeah, look, dude, first of all, you shut that guy down. The bottom line is you did engage him at several points. You were inside of his guard. There's no doubt about it. He had a hold of you, and he couldn't do shit with you. That's reality. So if that guy's complaining, it's not like you ran away the entire fight. You were in his guard several times, and he couldn't do a thing. That's reality. So all that bitching and moaning, that's his sport.
Yeah.
How long would that fight last if you guys were standing up?
Yeah, true.
If it was an MMA fight, how long is that fight going to last?
Listen,
He's not getting out of the first round.
Yeah, not 20 minutes. I'll tell you that right now. We're not go 20 minutes
exactly.
like the match.
So
Now-
it's interesting, that a lot of these guys, like these jiu-jitsu guys that think that like if you enter into their world and you do one of those competitions, you should just like allow them to submit you or something. I don't know what the they're thinking.
Nah, no way, man. Now, Joe, listen, man, I love you. I love you, man. I'm glad you're here. I got to bust your chops a little bit. I watched the fight this morning. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, is it about commentary? What did I say?
Oh, my God. Commentary? Are you Matt's manager? I mean, you were on his nuts for the entire 4 minutes until you got submitted. All you did is talk about Matt. I was so sad.
Listen, I didn't just talk about Matt. It just seems like it because you have a big ego. But if you actually watch the fight, I talk about you too when something was happening. But standing up, that guy's a big threat. He's a giant dude and he moves really well. You can't take that away from him.
Oh, no,
what
he's
you
a
did is the
monster.
perfect thing. What you did is you completely neutralized him. You took him down and you choked him unconscious. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But standing up, that guy's scary as
100% scary as I just thought you were his publicist. I mean, you thought it was fatal.
He's so sensitive.
You thought it was fatal.
Well, you have to be sensitive to be good. There's no doubt about it.
but Brendan's the kind
you're
of
not
guy.
the first guy to get mad at me for commentary.
Joe,
but
I'm not mad. I'm not
that's what I
mad,
thought.
brother.
Now,
No, I'm with you.
Brendan's the kind of guy, is at the minute the conversation shifts to anything else, he stops listening.
I zone out.
Yeah,
I
you're
get
not talking
bored.
about me anymore. What?
It's like when people show you pictures. If I'm not in them or someone's not naked, get them out of here. Don't show me your vacation pictures unless someone's naked or someone's getting beat up.
Here's a
What
question.
was he saying to you at the weigh-ins?
Yeah, man, I'm usually anyone who knows me knows I'm pretty mild dude. I'm pretty chill. This dude, Matt, gets in my, I get in his face, just trying to, freak him out a little bit, mind trick him a little bit. He goes, "You're going to get hurt tomorrow night. You are going to get hurt tomorrow night." And I don't know what happened. I just freaked out, man. I said, "This is not the Ultimate Fighter. I'm going to you up tomorrow." I said, "I will bet you my purse you don't hit me with a punch tomorrow night. I will bet you a purse. Put money on it right now." He just turned his head, walked away. Did I get hit? No, I didn't. So I wish we would have made the bet.
When you guys touched gloves, he said, "No, we'll do it afterwards," right?
Yeah, he goes, "Nope, we'll do it afterwards."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my God, whatever."
Yeah, I was really impressed with the way he moves, though. I mean, he's really
Matt's a
smooth.
beast, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad because we can be training partners now. That's
Yeah.
what I love about it.
Yeah.
He's a
Chris
beast.
Lytle told me that when he first started training with him, they did sprints, and he dusted them. And he goes, "This fucking heavyweight is blowing by me in sprints."
That's crazy.
He goes, "That's when I realized, like, what the f***?" He's like, "I'm 170 pounds, and this dude is just sprinting past me."
That's nuts. That's crazy.
That's nuts. I mean,
100 pounds
let's not get it
heavier.
twisted. Chris Lytle probably runs a 5.5 flat in the 40. So I mean, that's not like crazy. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
still, he's 170. He's an athlete. I mean, it's
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, he is a. I mean, Matt was a real NFL player.
No,
but
Matt,
it is impressive when you see a guy that big.
for sure. Very legit NFL player, too. He's not like, I was not a legit NFL player. I was a legit college player. Matt was very legit. He was first team All Big Ten. He was in the NFL for, a couple of years. You're talking about a legit football player, man.
Yeah, that's no joke.
And-
Joe,
and crazy.
here's a question for you.
Okay.
Dana was talking about maybe Brennan being thrown back into the fray. Who would be a good fight? Who do you think would? Who do you think they're thinking about? Any idea?
That's interesting. If I have no idea who they would think about.
Let's say you're my Let's say you're my manager, Joe. Who would you be like? Yo, we need to go after this dude.
Okay, quite honestly, if I was your manager, what I would do is bring you to the best striking camp that I could find. I think your jiu-jitsu is nasty. Your jiu-jitsu's nasty, and I think you got some serious power in your hand. I mean, you knocked out Krokop with one punch. What I would do is, if you could spend, several months, I would bring you to like a Rob Kamen. I would bring you to like one of the best striking coach that we could possibly find, and just work entirely on your fundamentals, just entirely on that. That's what I would do before I did anything. Because I think you're a super athlete, dude. I mean, you're a real high-level athlete. But whenever you enter into a world, like, say, the world of striking, and what age were you when you started striking?
24.
Yeah, see, that seems young. But in the world of fighting, in the world of combat sports, when you're dealing with people that started when they were in their young teens, a lot of these guys like Pettis, they start Taekwondo when they're like 12, and your body develops to move that way, and as you get older, when you're a really good athlete like you are, a lot of times what happens is you start using and substituting explosiveness, athleticism, and power for real refined technique. And if you can refine your technique to add and get all these really good habits that add to that athleticism and explosion, you could be a real threat in the heavyweight division.
Yeah. It's amazing how when you're talking on this level, how you've got to constantly be refining. You
have to look at yourself like you're a puzzle.
Oh, for
you
sure.
have to
There's
look
no
at yourself like
off-season.
you're a mathematical equation.
100%. 100%.
That's
And
interesting.
it's hard to do that when you have emotions, you have ego, you have to have emotions and ego. Otherwise, and I know that you're never going to put in the work. You're never going to get where you are. You wouldn't be who you are if you didn't have a massive belief in yourself, especially
sure.
after
Especially
a couple of losses.
Oh, for sure.
Those can really with your head, right?
Yeah, with your head. Yeah, like sell everything in Denver, buy a brand new car, and drive out to L.A.
He literally
and not
moved. He
tell
literally
anyone.
left the state. He grew his hair out, didn't talk to anybody, stayed in his basement, and then left.
Just left, moved to L.A. because I knew this was a hotbed for MMA. I didn't know anybody. Ran into Callan because you were hitting on me at a bar, and here we are now. We got a podcast.
Hey man, I got a weakness
things
for.
are doing-
I got
things
a
are
weakness
going
for
well,
Big
though.
Brown. I got a weakness for Big Brown. I was like,
I'm undefeated since I came to L.A. Things are going well.
you're welcome, and you're welcome.
You're my only friend. That's a little weird, but that's all right.
He hates me.
Where are you training for your striking here?
I just started training with him for this fight. Just started about 6 months ago. Tony Jeffries. He's an Olympic boxer. He won a bronze medal in the Olympics. He's a trainer now. He's amazing, man. So, like you said, I found the very best I could find. This guy is amazing. Puts in the work. He's passionate. He was in my corner last Saturday, and man, the connection me and this guy have is just amazing. Meeting this guy and establish relationship will be the reason I have the belt. I guarantee you.
That's nice. What about kicking and elbows or Muay Thai or anything along those lines?
Yeah, it's still Cordero. We're reaching out to him.
Cool.
Yeah, we're reaching out to him, and then obviously Jiu-Jitsu got Huron Henner, and then wrestling Mark Munoz and those guys. So I got a great team out here.
That's awesome, man. Listen, your jiu-jitsu looked awesome. That was a beautiful Darce. I mean, you just cinched that up so tight. Like there's in the commentary, like Matt gives his thumbs up, and I'm like, he is not okay.
No.
Like I could see it. That shit was a vice.
Yeah, bad.
That's it.
This is what I want to know, Joe. What do you guys like after a fight? What do you do? Because you're on the road nonstop with the UFC. Do you go out? Do you hang in the hotel?
You know,
and
we went
get
and ate.
weird? What do you guys do?
We went and ate.
Yeah, I usually eat because it's like 6 hours plus of commentary where I don't eat.
Yeah.
Now, I eat before the fights, and then maybe I'll have like a protein bar in the middle of it. But you know, your brain is firing all the
Sure.
time. I'm constantly trying to put the sentences together the right way and explain myself and explain what's happening and
I couldn't
try not to
believe.
sound like a fucking idiot.
So as soon as it gets done, you just go and eat, and then you're back in the hotel room.
Chow the down, yeah.
Dude, I couldn't believe I was sitting right behind Joe. I'm telling you, for and arguably 11 hours straight, you had to be on point, calling fights, doing commentary in front of the camera, and you didn't really take a break for 11 hours. That you didn't eat.
It's not 11. It's not 11. It's about 7. It's about 6 and a half at the most.
We got there though. What I'm saying, by the time we got there and you were getting ready, that was we were there from 5:30 until 4 in the morning.
And are you strict on your diet, Joe? Or are you eating like Burger King and shit? Because
No.
that's easy.
No,
You're
I'm
strict.
pretty strict. I'm all gluten free now. I've been gluten free for the last 4 months.
You feel
that made a
great,
big difference.
Big
Huge difference.
Night and day.
I'm shocked. I thought it was bullshit. I'm having a disc issue in my neck from jiu-jitsu. And one of the things this physical therapist said was that she has really great results getting people to quit eating gluten. And I was like, why? It didn't make any sense to me. She's like, you'd be amazed at how much inflammation gluten gives you. So I said, all right, I'm just going to try this. You know, I'm doing a lot of other therapies for it. And I was out of jiu-jitsu for about 3 months at the time. And I did it, and within 2 weeks, I knew I was never going to eat it again.
Dang.
Wow, that's crazy. I remember you told me that your wedding ring actually got looser.
Yeah, my fingers got less fat. My face got less fat. And I felt better. Like I have more energy throughout the day, and I don't have this crash after I eat. And I'm not on a low-carb diet. I still eat rice. I don't eat as much. And I still eat plenty of fruit and a lot of vegetables. But just cutting out bread, cutting out wheat products, it's amazing. I read that, parts of that book, Wheat Belly, what explains like how they changed wheat in the 1950s or 60s and made it more hardy so that it could deal with pesticides and they could get better yields. And when they did that, a lot of people have a really hard time processing it. Tastes great, feels awesome when you're eating it. I still love pasta, but you can't with it, man. It's not good for you.
Before this camp, I tried going on a diet. I drink a ton of coffee. We're talking unhealthy amounts of coffee, right? I tried going off of it. I tried going cold turkey. You know how long I last before I was in cold sweats and crying in a fetal position naked? About 8 hours. And I swear to
You
God.
drink bulletproof coffee?
I've heard of that. People recommend it. This is this thing with bulletproof coffee. Everyone goes, oh, bulletproof. Yeah, listen, I like to just toss my coffee in there, buy a cup of coffee. I'm not trying to buy all these ingredients and mix all this
That's
shit.
not what bulletproof is. Bulletproof coffee. Tell them, Joe. Tell them what.
Yeah,
what
no, I know what it is.
What's
You got to
good
put shit in
about
it.
coffee. Here's what's good about coffee, and here's what's bad about coffee. Caffeine and coffee are not necessarily bad for you. One of the things that when they test liver toxicity in coffee, according to this guy Dave Asprey, who created this bulletproof coffee thing, there's a thing called mycotoxins that exist on coffee. And it's really common. And he's not the only source. I've seen it online that as many as 65 to 70% of all coffee has mycotoxins on it. And what it is fungus that grows because of the way they handle and treat the coffee once they grow it. Because you're buying coffee where they're growing it in these South American climates and third world countries and all these different places, Guatemala and what have you. And the coffee grows mold on it, and that mold can be poisonous for you. And most people don't even think about it. But when you have a cup of coffee and it makes you feel like shit, like some people have a cup of coffee and they get tired or they get a headache.
Yep.
That's mycotoxins. That is from that stuff. That is from those funguses. So this guy developed the process, a single source process where you're buying the beans directly from the people who grow it. They grow it, they package it, they roast it, they do everything there so they know for a fact that there's zero mycotoxins. The environment that this coffee is harvested in, there's no chance for it to grow. Then you take that coffee and you blend it with grass-fed butter and MCT oil. But MCT oil is medium chain triglycerides, I think it's called. And what it is basically is the healthiest part of coconut oil. You take coconut oil, they put it in a centrifuge, they extract the healthiest parts, the most potent nutrition, and they put it into these bottles and sell it. You mix that in with the grass-fed butter and the coffee. It blends, and then what happens is you get all these healthy fats. Because you're getting the grass-fed butter and the MCT oil in with the coffee, you have this like slow release effect of the caffeine. So you don't have this crash that you get from a lot of drinking coffee.
Right,
you get this coffee, but you get the coffee in your system with the fats mixed in, so it releases slow and it doesn't have a crash. And of course, you're also not getting the poison effect from the bad fungus.
And you can also drink the bulletproof without that stuff as well, without getting the things. But Dave Asprey came up with that idea. He was in the Himalayas and he saw these guys, these I guess they were Tibetan, and they were drinking tea with yak butter and a porridge. They made a porridge out of barley, and apparently he kept them going like way up in those climates for a long time.
Listen, all this you guys lost me. You lost me when you said to mix it. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah,
How come I just can't buy it like that? I'm so lazy.
I do it every morning. It takes 5 minutes. It's so easy.
What if I paid you, Joe? Can I come to your house and get it?
He'll be your barista.
Yeah, that'd be
how
sick.
much money do you think you have, and how much money do you think I have?
Hey, Joe.
You paid me.
I'll pay you. I'll pay you.
Joe, he's the kind of guy. This guy, when he has time off on his hands, this guy will go. Brennan.
Don't give me time off.
He'll come back with a tattoo. And it's just like some random tattoo, like the Gracie logo, and he just comes up with these
random. I'll go to a candy store and buy 6 months worth of candy or just random shit.
Yeah, he ate 2 bags. He ate 2 bags of Good and Plenty.
I took a picture for you.
The day after his fight.
Brian goes, "What are you doing?"
That's the day after his fight.
True.
Yeah, I know.
True. Things get weird after a fight, man.
Yeah, you do whatever the you want the day after your fight, man. You're a hero.
It's true.
This is true.
By the way, how is John Jones doing? Those guys took such a beating. Couldn't make it to the press conference. How do you have any idea how those guys are physically doing at the moment?
I don't. I haven't checked in, but I know that John apparently has a broken foot. And Winklejohn said that the term he used was shattered.
Oh, no.
So it might have been broken in several different places, which could be really bad for the future of his career.
When he got carted, I was waiting at the press conference. John and I shared a locker room, and he came right from the fight on a stretcher. They brought him in the back to where the doctors are because I was getting stitches on my head, and John was in there. I gotta admit, man, it was scary to see a human being like that.
Yeah.
His face was swollen shut. He was bleeding out of his eyes, ears, mouth.
Yeah.
He was thrown up.
Let's not get too detailed, though. People might not want to.
What?
What?
I just don't want to. I don't want to give up too many details about.
What the are you talking about?
I don't know. I just did.
Too many details?
Well, I just don't.
It was a fight.
I don't know if he wants people knowing that he had blood coming out of his ears and all that.
Well, it could have been, who knows, from something.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
I'm not fucking breaking news here.
I guess you're right. I guess we all know that he was basically, we saw him get, just.
He was just so beat up, and his body was shaking, man. I just looked at him. I was like, dang, man. I was like, that was
a war.
I just told him. I said, yeah. I was like, that was amazing, man. Straight up.
I think he felt like he was going to storm the beach on that guy and just kick his ass.
I agree.
I think he was worried a bit about his boxing, but I think he felt like his wrestling was so much better than Gustafsson. He was going to be able to take him down at will. I think he felt like he was going to be able to kick him from a distance. And the real wake-up call was not just when Gustafsson was tagging him with his hands, but when Gustafsson took him down. That was like,
crazy.
We had just talked earlier in that round that John was one of the few guys that has 100% takedown defense.
That's nuts.
Wow.
Hey, Joe, did you watch Mayweather Canelo?
Yes.
What do you think of boxing?
I'm a big
boxing fan. What I thought was unbelievable was that C.J. Ross lady that scored a draw.
She's taking a leave of absence. It's crazy scary. I think she either retired or she's taking a leave of absence. She's got so much hate for it.
Yeah, well, I think she's probably a criminal.
Well, no, she also probably left because she's making so much damn money because someone's paying her to do that.
Yeah, that's what he means.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she's a criminal. I think that I don't think you can be that bad and be a boxing judge since 1989 and not know that that wasn't a draw. There's also a matter of her being a part of one of the other bad decisions, the Tim Bradley versus Pacquiao.
Oh, my
She scored it
God.
for Tim Bradley.
Horrible.
It was unbelievable.
Horrible.
It was unbelievable.
Horrible decision. So I think this is a gambling thing. That's what I think. Because we were talking about unanimous decisions. Like if you're betting on a fight and you're going to bet on a fight like a Pacquiao fight, you might see a knockout. But Mayweather, most likely you're going to see a unanimous decision. So the odds, if you're betting in Vegas on a unanimous decision, are probably pretty high, like maybe even 10-1 in Floyd's favor. So somebody might say, you know what, though, that's an easy bet. I'm going to put $10,000 down. I'm going to make $1,000. This chick comes along and does what she does and the whole party up. So if someone wants to bet on a split decision or unanimous or a majority decision victory, you could make a load of money if you pay that bitch off.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
That's right.
That's 100% what she's doing.
That's got to be what's going on.
That's the only way it makes sense. It
100%.
doesn't make any sense at all that she could have actually thought that was a draw. Floyd put on a clinic. It was a clinic. It was a beautiful boxing display. It was beautiful. And, you know, in a sense, it was good because it exposed her, you know, because she was still judging after the Tim Bradley fight. Nobody did jack shit about it. But after this, the governor got involved. The governor of Nevada got involved.
Really?
He wanted to know what the hell's going on.
Wow. And
I don't think she gives a f***.
Well, is there going to
She's
be
probably rich as shit.
Well, no, because there's going to be an investigation. I mean, I would imagine there's going to be a forensics investigation as far as like
Forensic?
Yeah, and accounting wise, like, they're going to see where her money's coming from. I would imagine she can't.
I
spend
don't
that
think
money.
they are,
Doubt it.
quite honestly. I think she's going to slip away, and I think there's going to be no more talk about it because I don't think they want to really dig into that rabbit hole. If they start digging into that rabbit hole and they find out what's going on, it could be real problems for Kaiser, Nevada State Athletic Commission, for everybody. I mean,
Sure.
who knows how far that that money train goes.
Yeah, that's actually that's a really good point.
I think she's a criminal. I don't imagine how. I mean, I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize. But if I am wrong, she's criminally incompetent.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, is your boy Eddie Bravo, is he competing in Metamours?
Supposedly he's going to fight Hoyler. I don't know if they set a date yet, though. They were going to have a date. I believe it was in November, but it coincided with the same weekend as the UFC, so they decided to move it. And I think they're looking for a new date now.
That'd be sick. I would definitely.
Yeah,
go
it's
to
going to
that.
be interesting, man. That's going to be really interesting.
you don't think? So, do you think they're going to have? Do you think that Jones is going to fight Glover Teixeira, or do you think they're going to go right to essentially rematch?
I would think they would go right into the rematch because although I really want to see the Glover Teixeira fight, I really want to see that fight bad. And for Glover, I mean, I think he's worked really hard. It took him a long time to get into the UFC. It would suck for him if they took that shot away from him. The reality of this business is you're in it for a short amount of time. You got to make as much money as possible while you're here. And the big money fight is Gustafsson. That's the big money fight. The rematch, for sure,
correct.
is going to be the biggest fight in the history of the sport. It's going to be goddamn gigantic.
I want to see Glover versus Phil Davis, title eliminator.
That's a great fight. That's a great fight. I love that. That's a great idea.
How do you think? How do you think Gustafsson's, and this is for both of you, how do you think Gustafsson's training will change now that he fought John Jones, if at all? In other words, because I felt like John Jones scored some very punishing, those spinning elbows, which is always hard to pull off and dangerous in a fight. Somehow he does it. He's so explosive. It feels like if those had not been a factor in the fight, I think Gustafsson would not have taken the kind of damage that he did, nearly as much anyway. So the
There's
question
a lot
is,
of leg damage, too. He took a lot of leg kicks. If you look at the numbers, Gustafsson had a heavy advantage as far as punches landed to the head, and Jones had a heavy advantage as far as leg kicks. And, you know, Brennan could tell you those leg kicks will take the spring out of your step and really slow you down a lot.
Horrible.
yeah.
So maybe in that, if he had to concentrate on anything in the rematch, he'd just be checking more kicks. And, he's just, I'm sure it's the first guy he ever fought that has the reach that he has. And, John kicks the legs a lot. He loves that elliptical kick to the leg, throws a lot of front leg side kicks to the leg. He throws a lot of leg kicks.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of speed, man. It's
I think Gustafsson, like you said, definitely concentrate on leg kicks, and I think he'll work more on his wrestling and look to take John down more and wear him out.
His wrestling, I was so amazed that he took John in the first round, and I believe the second round too. He took him down. I mean, it was just super, super impressive. Man.
Crazy, so cool to see.
Well,
yeah, it was an amazing fight, man. I mean, a lot of people thought Gustafsson won. What did you think?
I didn't have Gustafsson win. I had John winning. I think he stole the fight. Not stole, but he kind of ran away with it. Fourth and fifth round, especially in the fifth round, I thought he was going to finish him. Definitely the greatest fight in UFC history, but I had John winning. You have got to beat the champ to be the champ. It can't be close. If it's close, you're not going to win it.
Yeah. That's
yeah, I could see it. I could see what you're saying, and it was so close. I didn't really know who won it. I think it boils down to one of the first three rounds. I think John won the fourth for sure. He had Gustafsson badly hurt, and I think John won the fifth. And it really depends on who won the first. The first was Gustafsson, so it's down to the second and third. And most people believe it's either the second or the third round. If you give that one to Gustafsson, he wins. You give it to John, he wins.
Let me ask you a question.
If you look at the momentum of the fight and just the overall body of work, John took that fight.
Let me ask a question that a lot of people don't understand, but I always am surprised by. The fourth and fifth rounds in a fight like that, I believe, should be worth more. And I know it's hard to score this way, only because if it's a 25-minute fight and you are winning in the last 10 minutes, I just feel like those rounds should be scored higher because ultimately you've worn the guy down and you're winning the fight. That is not the case in fighting, right, guys?
It used to be in Pride. That's exactly how Pride used to score it. They used to score the fight as a whole and more emphasis on the later rounds.
Right. Why don't they do that in the UFC?
Well, the UFC scoring is very flawed. It's flawed in a bunch of different ways. The biggest reason it's flawed is because of the 10-point must system, which is adopted from boxing.
Right.
That might work in a 12-round fight. 12 3-minute rounds is very different than 3 5-minute rounds. 3 5-minute rounds, you go in 10-9 on rounds that, either guy could win, and then the next round, a guy could get taken down, could get busted up, could get dropped, and you score that at 10-9 as well. That makes no sense. The system in place right now, the scoring system, is from boxing, and they need to develop one just for MMA.
Are they doing that, do you think?
No, they don't do shit. It's the same reason why the C.J. Ross lady is still a judge, or was a judge, until she stepped down. The athletic commissions do a woefully inadequate job.
So it's not the UFC
on several levels.
So it's not the UFC; it's the athletic commission that's to blame for these.
Exactly. The UFC can't dictate who judges. The UFC can't dictate who referees. The UFC can't dictate what the rules are. They can't do anything. They can work with the commission to try to, give suggestions and come up with different ways to find ways around problems, but ultimately it's the job of the athletic commission.
Wow, I didn't know that at all. Yeah. And the athletic commission obviously grew up on boxing, and MMA is a very new thing for them.
It's new.
Wow. I didn't know that at all.
In 10 years, 15 years, completely different.
I did not know.
Not only that, the reality of Vegas, and let's just be honest, Vegas was built by criminals. It was built by Bugsy Siegel. It was created by criminals. I mean, criminals have been involved in running Vegas, and they've been involved in gambling and organizing things. And even though everything's on the up and up and legit for the most part today, there's still a seedy little an echo of the old days that still exists. So when you look at a person like C.J. Ross and you say, did she get paid off? Man, you got to investigate that. You can't assume that they didn't, because of the fact that this town used to be 100% gangster run. There's people to this day that still talk about the good old days when the mob ran Vegas. I mean, that's like a common theme.
Yep.
You can't get all of that out. You can't get all of that corruption out of the system. You can't.
Especially
There's
when you
gonna
can
be
rig
some.
it. Especially when you can get away with pulling off something as outrageous as having a judge, call it a draw or etc. and make a lot of money. I mean, the fact of the matter is, somebody got away with what happened with the Bradley Pacquiao fight, and they got away scot-free with no investigation. And by the way, they might get away with this fight, which couldn't have been bigger. You're
right. You're right. I mean, it's the same person. That's where it's really crazy. These aren't just bad decisions. They're incredibly bad. They're insanely bad. It's almost like she's not paying attention. So it's either that she doesn't really watch the fights and she just is playing with her vagina underneath the table and writing numbers down on a piece of paper, or she's getting paid off.
Right. You're right.
100%.
Well, Joe
That's
Rogan,
crazy.
you have been more than gracious in giving us your time, your expertise. My one of my best friends in the world.
Dropping knowledge on our podcast.
That's
Good
what Joe Rogan does, dude. That's why he can fill
Dropping
3,000
pearls.
seats
Dropping pearls
in a couple
on
of
us.
minutes.
Love it.
My friend, I had a great time with you in Toronto. Thank you. On air.
Always, my brother. Always have a good time. Brendan, again, congratulations, brother. It was an amazing victory. You looked better than ever, man. It was incredible.
Thanks, brother. Hey, let's roll soon. If you're down,
Yeah, bitch.
let's do it, man. Let's do
There
it,
it is.
dog.
All right, love you guys. Take it easy.
Thanks,
brother.
pal. See you
Later.
soon. You're the best. He's the best.
How about that guy? Just dropping knowledge.
Yeah, well, that's Joe Rogan. He's been
A lot
you
of
gotta understand,
conspiracy theories.
He and
A lot of conspiracy
Not
theories.
really. He doesn't.
Well, no.
he doesn't
They're
subscribe
not
to it.
theories. He freaking stats to back it up.
Oh, dude,
I
he's-
feel like the government should hire him and let's start breaking some shit down.
If you get in an argument with him, you got to know he's coming prepared. That dude comes prepared. His mind is rapid fire. Like he can.
He wasn't prepared when I dropped the whole Matt thing, hanging on Matt's nuts the whole fight. Well, that guy has scary stand up.
No, he came back at you, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he does. That
Now-
doesn't mean you talk about him for 4 minutes.
I was nervous. I was very nervous. I just.
All
I
of
know
us
what
are
he does.
nervous.
I know.
Everyone's nervous.
You didn't seem nervous in that fight, my friend.
I
You
was,
know why?
I was
Do you know
confident.
why?
Because I was trained like an
'Cause I was
Olympic
right
athlete.
there. 'Cause I was right
I
there.
saw. Isn't that weird? I'm getting in the cage. The only person I see is the kid himself, Brian, sitting front row,
There it is.
yelling in a V-neck.
Dude, I was pumped, and I looked good in the V-neck, by the way. Get this.
I was so freaking pumped when I saw you because you weren't wearing that busted ass white V-neck you wore to the studio that
that
day.
crinkly.
That crinkly.
By the way, I couldn't have been. I'm sitting.
I gave you a
behind
shout
Rogan.
out on the mic.
Greatness. It was greatness. For me, what was great about that is I'm sitting there. There's this big commotion. All of a sudden, I see Lawrence Fishburne over there. I just done a movie with him. I go over and I start
Easy.
talking to Fish. I call him Fish. Don't worry about
The
it.
Fish?
Yeah, you guys
What
hear
movie
that?
did you
The
do?
Fish.
Matrix 5 or
No,
some
I
bullshit?
did Ride Along coming out in January. Thank you very much.
Ride Along
you know
with
what?
Kevin Hart.
Let me see if there's a ticket. Let me see if I can scrounge up a ticket in my back drawer for you. I'll get you in, kid. I'll get you. You're going to be in the back. You're not going to be sitting with me and Fish.
No, Fish
But
is my
what's
boy.
great is that what's funny about this is I'm talking to Fish and we're having da.
Don't call him
We
Fish.
spent some time, Lawrence Fishburne. We spent some time together. What's funny is how everybody else, once you're part of that, how I started getting mad love from everybody else now.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like you're my brother. right?
Exactly.
Like everyone was like,
Exactly.
you were getting texts going, congratulations and shit.
What was great is Lawrence goes, "Hey, can you introduce me to Joe Rogan? I'm a big fan." I was like, "Joe, Lawrence Fishburne, the Hall of Famer, wants to meet you."
Yeah, right?
It was great. He loves fighting, and he
loves it,
When
huh?
he saw after the Jones Gustafsson fight, he called me over and he said, "Am I right to assume that Gustafsson's going to lose his fight?" I said, "Well, he's got a weakness, and that's in his wrestling. So I look for John to win this fight."
Yeah.
And he goes, "All right." And after the end of the fight, I looked over at him. He just looked at me and he just mouthed, "Wow!" You know, it was just that fight was
a
amazing.
terrible story.
And then he said to me, "No." Then he
That was
goes,
a horrible
"You
story.
are the greatest actor I've
That was
ever
a
worked with."
horrible
He didn't let me
story.
finish it. He goes,
He looked over to me and he goes, "Yeah," and then I was like, "Damn!" And then that
No,
was a
because
cool fight.
he goes-
"Yeah,
he
we
goes,
just talked about the fight
"No."
for the past 50 minutes."
"No, dude." He said, "Wow," and then he goes, "Brian, you are the John Jones of acting." That's what he said to me. And you didn't let me finish that
No,
part.
see, you told me he was like, "Dang, that was a crazy fight. Is there any way I can get into Brendan's hotel room?"
That's
And
exactly.
you were like, "Maybe."
I said,
and then he
"Nah."
knocked on my door, and because I call him the Matrix.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I called him the Matrix. I answered the door. I go, "What do you want, Matrix?" And he goes, I just want to see you. I want to shake your hand." I didn't do it.
You just gave him a
I
fist
told him
bump?
to kick rocks. Beat it, Matrix.
Beat it, Matrix. And then he backflipped
Beat
and
it,
kicked
Matrix.
you in the
Yeah.
freaking mouth.
True that.
You didn't have a mark on you. You're looking cute.
I just have stitches, and I'm a little beat up from the from the camp, with this ankle. So
Your ankle still hurt.
not good, not good.
Have you done a stitch of training since?
No.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I got home late Sunday, and then today's Wednesday.
You've had some weirdness to get. You had to challenge just JT to a
dance off. Yeah. He did some weird stuff.
We didn't talk about
covered the Uber driver's eyes just to be a wild card. Just to be a wild card. Things are going way too smooth driving home. So with my friends, I decided to cover his eyes to mix it up. I called being the wild card.
That's all.
Did the guy freak out and drop me off early? Yeah, he did. And I had to call another one.
When you have a UFC heavyweight cover your eyes when you're driving, the fact of the matter is, if you wanted to, he's not taking your hands off his eyes.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah. And if you wanted to reach down and grope him a little bit as well, he's not doing a thing about that either. He's got to just sit and take it.
Or I could push him out of the car and steal his Uber, and then I'm a new Uber driver collecting money.
Hey, by the way, if it doesn't work out for you in the end, I will call you and I will request you as my driver.
That'd be sick.
You'd be a good bodyguard, dude. I want you in a suit.
I'm too lazy for it.
I want you in a suit. I want you shaved.
You want me shaved?
I want you shaved and in a suit at all times.
And oiled up.
Obviously.
And a tan.
Obviously.
That's not a horrible.
We didn't talk about any of the other fights. And it's funny.
I didn't see a lot of the other fights.
You didn't?
Well,
I was wondering if you were watching them.
They had them on TV in the back. I saw some, but you're really not paying that much attention to it. If there's a quick finish, you'll look at it or something like that. But I was with my team and
Wonder Boy. Your Wonder Boy is something
Wonder
else.
Boy looked good, right?
Yeah. He tried a hook kick, a Taekwondo hook kick.
He's amazing, man.
Which didn't work out. But
his grappling, his stand-up's always amazing, but his grappling, I gave him a big hug. I was like, I'm so proud of you, man. He's worked so hard on his grappling.
Wouldn't you say that grappling?
Because his grappling, he might have been the worst grappler in the UFC a year ago.
As he admitted.
I don't know if he admitted or not. Him or Pat Bear are definitely the worst grapplers in the UFC, and he admitted it. Like, Pat was like, yeah, I know a lot of you guys think James Toney's my grappling coach, like joking around. There's a great line right after the fight.
Yeah, it's a great line.
But they're both very, very great.
What's impressive to me is that stand-up, I would argue, is much harder to get good at in a year or 2 years. Whereas grappling, in a lot of ways, you can get to a point where you can take a world-class grappler and at least neutralize him, at least not getting taken out. Am I right about that or no?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I think wrestling and timing and jiu-jitsu, I mean...
what I mean is you can shut him...
For instance, it takes at a minimum 10 years to get your black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
10 years. The longest martial art to get.
No doubt. But for MMA, I'm saying it's a different game. Whereas MMA, you might have 10 years, 20 years of jiu-jitsu. Doesn't necessarily help you to an extent in MMA when somebody like what you did to Cyborg, where you shut him down by putting your hand on his throat.
Also a very high caliber brown belt.
Understood. But what I'm trying to say,
I'm going to take a warm hand to your face.
I'm ready, because what happens is I go gang, I block bang, like Mayweather, bang,
bam,
bang. I go, come on, dude. And then as I'm punching, got to be faster than that. Click,
bam. So just for the record, let me get this straight. You're saying it's easier to do jiu-jitsu and wrestling than to learn boxing.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that it's easier to get to a point where your wrestling is not a liability easier than it is to get to a point where your striking is not a liability. That's kind of what I mean.
I would say they're the same.
Really?
I'd say they're the same. Because if you're just a pure striker and you go against LeVar Johnson and you go against a grappler, you're so screwed. Because I can avoid your punches way easier than you can.
Just by taking somebody down?
Yeah.
Until they can keep you at a distance and pepper your face. I mean,
but then you're talking wrestling. Then you're talking about great takedown defense. That's wrestling.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like Gustafsson,
he's a great wrestler.
Is he? Okay.
Very good wrestler.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, very good.
Okay,
wrestler.
so wrestling for him wasn't a liability.
God, I wish you'd shut your mouth about this.
Sorry,
man.
You're a little different today.
Am I?
You're a little bristly.
Bristly, really?
Yeah, you're bristly. You win your fight. You're getting a little bristly.
Big time.
Kind of like
I was going to replace you. I was going to replace you with.
You know what it is?
I was going to replace you with Dane Cook.
Dane Cook. I
was like, who's bigger than Brian? And then I text my friend D. I call him D. His name's D.
D's my boy.
Yeah, Dane Cook.
I've known Dane a long time.
How would you like to be the kid?
We got to get him on here.
He texts me back, goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "I can make that happen. You play your cards right."
Dane's got better hair than I do, and I haven't talked to him in a second.
Who'd win in a fight? Yeah, we could have him on. That'd be fun.
I like Dane.
Who would win in a fight?
And Dane's never fought, so I would win in a fight.
You haven't fought either.
Yeah, I was a wrestler, and I was
in high school. We just went over this in high
school.
school.
And I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and I did jiu-jitsu for a long time.
No, I did jiu-jitsu with you. Your jiu-jitsu is horrendous.
No. Shh.
We did it in your garage. We did jiu-jitsu in your garage.
No.
And I was laughing.
No. I know you were laughing.
And then your dog with one ear came up to me and was just ruined the whole match.
Well, first of all, I was working on fundamentals. You didn't see me unleash the fury. All right?
Dane Cook walks in right now, goes, Brian, what are you going to do about it? What
he's
happens?
my buddy, so I don't know.
I don't care if he's your friend.
I'm taking him down.
You're not going to punch him?
No. I like him too much. I'm holding him down.
Let's say you're not friends.
Dane, calm down. And then he goes, sorry, bro, I got a little carried away.
What comedian would you have the toughest time with the fight? Kevin Hart?
Joe Rogan. Kevin Hart is an explosive little guy.
That's racist.
Hey, man. All right, on that racist note.
Out of all the comedians, because he's black, now he's explosive.
He's a very, very explosive.
Wow.
I saw him do a mock fight with Lawrence Fishburne, who's a friend of mine. Did I mention that?
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been, thank God for Joe Rogan, because it would have been a disaster.
Horrible.
Otherwise.
Will you sing us out? Yeah, it needs to be good, because this is the first podcast we've done after a big win.
That's
right. We need a good song.
His name was Brendan Schaub. He was really smooth. He came in with a bad ankle and some kind of flu. And guess what? He didn't care because he double-legged Matt Mitrione. Touch your knee next time. But he didn't, and it didn't matter because he ragdolled him, took him to the ground, and threw a DOS choke while I screamed, Brandon, you're going to do it, Brandon. And that's why he won, because the kid was shouting in his ear. That's why he won. You're welcome. This has been The Fighter and the Kid, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for wasting a perfectly good hour with Brendan and myself. I hope you learned nothing. We'll be back every single week talking about all things fighting and life.
Booyah.
October 4th and 5th. Go to BrianCallen.com. That's for my dates. October 4th and 5th in Springfield, Houston 11th, 12th, 13th, and then the 17th, 18th, 19th, I'll be in Buffalo. Can't wait for that. And then Calgary, the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th? No. Just the 24th. All right. That's October. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I hope you enjoyed that song. I improvised it. I thought it was pretty darn good. Maybe I'll do a song every week.
I need a song every week out of you.
Recaps the whole podcast.
We need to get you voice lessons if we're going to do this.
I'm going to fix your voice. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Hold on, everybody. What we didn't mention, it's Fox Sports. It's Fighter and the Kid on Fox Sports. You guys, Fox Sports. Fox Sports. It's in our contract to say it at least 5 or 6 times. Fox Sports. Thank you very much for listening.